520 OT. Sorry.
All right. Well, welcome back to Live on Patrol. This is Undersheriff Mike Martin, and also apparently known as Mighty Mike. And I have the pleasure of working and patrolling with you on Mondays. And so here we are. Hold on just a sec. I'm just pushing a few buttons to make sure we're good.
New message.
All right.
180.
Well, it's been a little bit of a busy morning this morning with a few auto thefts and some domestic incidents and other things going on. The weather's really nice here. It's 37 degrees here in the city of St. Paul in the state of Minnesota. Welcome to all the backseaters. If you haven't been on before, we always kind of introduce ourselves. I'm Undersheriff Mike Martin. I have the pleasure of working for the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office and Sheriff Bob Fletcher, who a couple years ago began Live on Patrol as a way to educate the public on what we do on a regular basis and show you kind of the inside of law enforcement, and we answer a lot of people's questions. I'll be answering some today as we drive around, and I do not have a partner today because everybody's either busy or in training or on surveillance or doing other things. So I just got done meeting with the sheriff and some other folks talking about our CAT team, which is our carjacking and auto theft team. And we have a group that's focused just on reducing carjackings and auto thefts as a result of the dramatic increase that we saw starting about a year and a half ago. 3 of those investigators are funded through a Department of Commerce grant through the state of Minnesota Department of Commerce, and the rest are our deputies that help us in
4502.
We'll call it Title 1 car care, Title 1 cross, the business mill was stolen, no control and for a few weeks.
So I will every once in a while. I'll stop talking so you can hear the radio and hear the calls that are going on. If there's something that we're nearby, we will obviously respond to that. I'll also try to clarify for you what's being put out over the radio. Sometimes the dispatchers or the deputies will use codes that or acronyms that you may not understand. I may not even understand them sometimes, but I'm learning. This is my 33rd year in law enforcement. I started with and retired from the Minneapolis Police Department. I had the pleasure of serving as the Northside Precinct Commander for 5 years towards the end of my career, and couldn't have been more pleasurable. Getting to work with the citizens there to help reduce crime and make the community safer. Buzzy Bone, I hope you're feeling better. She was one of my partners there on the north side, and a resident who just did tireless work and continues to for the north side. I retired from there and eventually made my way over here to the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office, where I run the CAT team, along with intelligence and our Central Investigations Unit, our SWAT team, our Mobile Response team, our, I think I said Intel, and get to do a lot of the fun stuff. We'll give this gentleman a little block here so he can make it safely across the street. Looks like he's going over to Cora's. If you ever want some good Chinese food and chicken wings, Cora's is the place. Here on Payne Avenue, Payne and Rose, I think. It might be Magnolia on the corner there. Want to give a shout out to all the kids from Minnesota who qualified to compete at the state DECA tournament. Started yesterday, and they're kids who focus on business and marketing and learning how to hone their skills doing presentations and entrepreneurship and other things, and they've all competed regionally, and now is the state tournament down at the I think it's at the Marriott in downtown Minneapolis. And shout out to my daughter Kelly and her friends that are down there.
187, copy, thank you.
I'm guessing they're probably watching because they asked me what time I was going to start. I'm still northbound on Payne here from Sherwood, and we're just going to patrol around a little today and see what's going on. We're on the east side of St. Paul. The state wrestling tournament, I think, just wrapped up at the Excel Energy Center this weekend, and state high school hockey will start this week. Basketball, I think, is the quarterfinals, and semifinals are coming up as well. So this is definitely March Madness in the state of Minnesota when all our high school tournaments take place. Of course, hockey is a huge sport here, and if you were watching on Friday, you probably know that Hill Murray won. They beat Gentry Academy and are going on state. They play Thursday night, I believe, against Minnetonka. That's going to be one for, of course, one that plays is a senior on the team, and one has a nephew that's on the team. We're on Edgerton now at Wheelock. I'm just checking a house where we've had a lot of stolen vehicles dumped, and some suspects were living there. I think they've been evicted now, but they still like to dump cars there. As you can see, we got more snow overnight. We probably got 2 to 3 inches here in the city of St. Paul. I'm lucky because my awesome wife Ann shoveled our driveway this morning. All I had to do was the end of the driveway where the plow had gone by. But this is a very heavy snowfall. It's what they call here heart attack snow, because it's so heavy. People get heart attacks shoveling and trying to lift it and get it out of off the sidewalks and the driveways. And this may be an unrelated conversation. We had at lunch today talking about where were the best places to retire in the South. But I think we were all in the mood to talk about being somewhere warmer. If you were watching on Friday night, you got to see one of the longer, I don't know, I hate to call it a pursuit because it was started as a pursuit in Hudson, Wisconsin, coming into Minnesota, and then we picked it up, but the State Patrol helicopter got over it, so it was, rather than pursuing, it was more of a follow, trying to apprehend the individuals in the vehicle. But we ended up going all over the city of St. Paul, into Minneapolis, north side of Minneapolis, down to the south side. The vehicle had received stop sticks from our deputies a couple times during the course of that, and eventually the driver bailed out. A passenger got out on the north side and was apprehended, and the driver eventually bailed out on the south side of Minneapolis, and we were able to take him into custody with the assistance of, obviously, the State Patrol helicopter, invaluable, the Minneapolis Police, Minnesota State Patrol, and I don't know who else all was in it at the end. There were likely some Hennepin County Sheriff's deputies working plainclothes, some who I didn't. But one of the benefits we have when the helicopter's up is that we don't have to actively pursue a vehicle. It's more kind of following and making sure we're in the area when the vehicle eventually stops. We hope they think we're not following it, but this individual was driving so recklessly that it was imperative that we get him off the street. Come to find out, he had been involved in burglaries in Wisconsin, and obviously the vehicle was stolen out of the city of Minnetonka, which is one of our western suburbs, and it had been involved in a hit and run in the city of Minneapolis a couple days prior, and the individual driving not only had narcotics on him, but he had multiple felony warrants for everything from aggravated robbery to first-degree burglary to fleeing and possession of stolen property, which is stolen vehicles. So it was a great case of teamwork and getting him off the street. We're eastbound on Maryland, coming up to Clarence. So looks like snowman. Somebody just snowed last week a little, but too wet and dirty. So the snowman's not looking too good right now.
We felt it too loud.
One of the things that we always have to do is maintain our training for our deputies, and Minnesota has the Peace Officer Standards and Training Board.
Report, and I can take the next one up.
better known as the Post Board. The Post Board sets minimum training requirements around things like domestic assault, sexual assault cases, dealing with people with mental illness or on the autism spectrum, conflict resolution. So they set a number of hours that you have to go to all these types of training, and then there are additional training credits that are needed in areas I would call electives. So they make sure that the officers and deputies in the state are trained on whatever current issues are. I know in the past we've had training on bias issues, we've had training on pursuits, emergency vehicle operation is one that you have to do, I believe, biannually now. If you want to be PIT certified, you have to train in that. And they make sure that the training is standardized and that the instructors know what they're doing, and it's really an important part of how we maintain the type of professionalism that we have here. So we're on Maryland. We're going to go north on White Bear here. We're still on the east side of St. Paul.
1227 Tango.
180. Can you start 2901 North Snelling, room 17? Caller is calling from room 32 and hears the sound of drilling, stating that it's possibly a domestic. Was unsure of the exact room number.
If you haven't shared this broadcast on Facebook or YouTube, please do. Unfortunately, because of the nature of what we do, doing this on Monday afternoon, sometimes it's a little earlier, sometimes it's a little later, depending on what meetings I have or court stuff or working investigations. So people don't always know what our start time is going to be, unlike the Friday nights, which always start at 9:11. We had a awesome time on Friday night doing the Live on Patrol Marathon.
827, no BWC, and you can clear the assistant.
And we really had fun being out there for 12 hours straight, showing you what we do, and you got to see some of our great coppers out there doing what they're good at, keeping the community safe and getting the criminals off the street and trying to hold them accountable for victimizing other people. Just in the middle of that, I stopped for a minute so you could hear the radio, and they talked about no BWC on a call. That means no body-worn camera footage. So officers will air that sometimes so that it's noted that they didn't have their body-worn camera on, and those are calls where they don't need to have it on, but if for some reason a supervisor or someone later on was looking back, they wouldn't be trying to find camera footage that doesn't exist. So we're going north. We're going to pass the Aldrich Arena. It's a county-owned arena that hosts a lot of hockey this time of year. Also hosts concerts. There are a lot of weekend concerts there, especially Latino and Chicano bands. north. We're in the city of Maplewood now, and when we crossed Larpenter back there, we entered the city of Maplewood. Maplewood has their own police department, so we will support them and back them up when needed, but they have their own department that handles their calls and investigations. They also have individuals that are assigned to our violent crime enforcement team, and we work really closely with them. Chief Beardeman is a good leader for them and keeps their agency on track.
.4447, clear report.
Yes, sir.
.5928 EOT.
Have a good night. Yes, sir.
So it's kind of a sloppy mess on the streets today because of the snow overnight and the fact that it's warmer now. What little sun there is heats up the pavement and melts the snow, and the cars driving on it obviously help with that process, but it makes it a little sloppy. We have to make sure we have good...
Squad 187, Tango 23.
Good feeling.
We have to make sure we have a good supply of windshield fluid. I'm looking at the calls right now. There's a dispute in a homeless shelter. There's a dangerous condition. Let me see what that is. It's a vehicle that's left parked in a bad spot. And let's see. Not much else right now, but it's still pretty early in the day. So for those of you who just tuned in, it's me alone working by myself in my Tahoe, driving around and looking for calls to pop up or anything, any good police work to do. We're on Highway 36. We're going westbound through the city of Maplewood, and we're gonna head over towards the Roseville side. I am scanning all the channels in Ramsey County right now. So R3, Ramsey West, Central, and East, as well as St. Paul's 3 main channels. They're West District, Central, and East, as well as some metro-wide and statewide channels. So if jurisdiction, we can listen to it. those of you who were watching Troll Friday, Bob and Pat Hotel on the east side of St. where there had been the hotel, and they sprayed bear mace in the hallways of the hotel, which unfortunately made a lot of the hotel uninhabitable and created a lot of chaos that was completely unnecessary. The people that were staying there were in town for the state wrestling tournament and unfortunately had to be inconvenienced by youth that should have never been in the hotel in the first place, but apparently got an adult to rent a room for them, and they had a party that went out of control. So we're westbound on Highway 36. We're gonna probably get off on Rice Street here. There's a new pending that popped in for a 911 hang-up on the west side of St. Paul. When people dial 911 on their cell phone, a call will go through, and oftentimes it's an accident, or sometimes they dial 911 but then they can't talk because the suspect is there. That happens a lot in domestic situations, and squads are sent to go try to find that phone and figure out what's going on.
And you can send me the 911 and Cesar Chavez. We were out there earlier. It was unfounded. I'll advise.
So you hear squads responding out there. They say they were out there earlier, most likely on a similar call, and that they will advise. Sometimes it's kids playing on the phone, but you never know. So you have to go check it out.
Show me 10-8. That's stuff with an exit gauge. Code 4, you can cancel 180. You can actually clear us unfounded too.
180.
So we're southbound on Rice Street now. On the left-hand side is Little Canada, and on the right-hand side is the city of Roseville. Little Canada is one of our contract cities where we are the primary law enforcement agency. The other is Roseville. They have their own police department. Chief Erica Scheider is their chief there. It's a tremendous department. We work closely with them on a number of things because they have several hotels as well as the largest shopping mall in the county, and so they get a lot of activity. They attract a lot of people from outside the county as well that come to shop in the mall, and people who come to stay in the hotels.
5282 already.
It's the time of year. I think, let's see, what's today? March 6th. I think March 1st was the day that people had to have their ice fishing houses off of the lakes in the southern part of the state because the lakes start to melt. The snow and ice starts to melt. They become impassable, and the Department of Natural Resources does not want the remnants of people's fish houses ending up in the lake.
83, go for.
And every year there's a couple people that leave their fish houses on the lake, and they are either towed off by the DNR and destroyed, or the owner can get a fine.
$7206.
7206.
Can I get my case number, please?
Affirmative. Your case number 1817.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So you're going to hear some rattling because we have a lot of potholes. This is pothole season in Minnesota, especially in the larger cities where they aren't as quick to repair the streets.
805. Can you start medic for 80 house roof bell? We'll be on the third floor in the bathroom, but
Having started medic clear 15.
DLC 2316.
Okay.
Myself and partners should be at 1115 Argyle Street to pick up.
Copy.
So that was the Department of Corrections Fugitive Unit on the air. They're letting our dispatchers know that they were going to be out at an address attempting a pickup of a fugitive that likely has a Department of Corrections warrant for violating their probation or conditions of release. Our Department of Corrections has their own licensed police force that does that work. A tremendous group. So we're still southbound on Rice Street. We're at Maryland by Tin Cups. I know you've seen Tin Cups on Friday night with Bob and Pat. Ginger is a great supporter of public safety in the city of St. Paul, and especially here on the north end.
$5280.
58, Joe.
Squad's cleared, please.
Copy, bud. It's fine. $5282. $5286.
82. 86.
2755 Rice Street North, Roseville Estates, Southward, Missouri. Property manager has a homeless person who keeps breaking into the building. Cops currently holding the door shut.
Hey, Joe Philly. Hey, keep talking.
So those were the Roseville officers dispatched to a homeless person who's trying to get into a building, and the property manager doesn't want to let him in. If we were closer, we would turn around and go back, and but we're not.
One car request for a child abuse issue on 1890 Street.
We're continuing south on Rice Street. Passing Dar's Double Scoop. If you ever get a chance, you should go there. The ice cream is amazing.
Squad 187 single.
187.
Let me clear assisted. You can send me 170 each call. Make me primary.
1522.
531. Make clear. Advise.
Copy. Alright, I think your case number is 5786.
So some cones there. They're blocking off a Widowmaker pothole back there, one that will destroy your car if you hit it. Those are the worst, especially if you hit them when you're driving fast to a call or in a pursuit. It's nice to know where they are.
Hey, Joe.
There's no longer holding the door. Ready to meet at Black Mountain 30, 6 foot thin build, wearing a red, white, black shirt, blue hat, red and blue MB8 pants, green backpack, glasses, and a beard. Currently walking away from the building.
As you can see, if you're not from here, it's school closing time, so school buses are leaving and taking students home, and activity buses are showing up at the schools to take sports teams to other venues. It's one of the factors that we consider when we're following a stolen car and we are thinking about whether or not to pursue a vehicle. School closing time's a bad time to do that. A lot of kids out on the street, and we don't want someone to be inadvertently hurt while we're trying to actually make things safer. So we trust our deputies to use their discretion and weigh all of the factors: traffic, weather, road conditions, whether or not you're going through a school zone, those type of things, whether or not the vehicle's fleeing into downtown, which is another unsafe place depending on the time of day. And the deputies have to weigh all of that stuff in split seconds to determine whether or not they're going to pursue a car or sometimes initiate a pit maneuver or pursuit intervention technique where they basically try to take away the drive wheels of the vehicle by using their front bumper against the rear bumper of the car, or a VIT, a vehicle intervention technique, where they will basically use the element of surprise to try to box in a vehicle. So
2316.
all of that stuff has to be, the decisions have to be made in a split second.
Custody, to jail.
And unfortunately, they'll be judged on how they made that decision for months or years to come sometimes. I really appreciate you spending your afternoon here with me. We're on University Avenue. We're going westbound Marion Street. We just passed the state capitol. And we're heading into Frogtown, which I had a awesome backseater, and I apologize, I don't remember your name, who looked up the history and said that as the community expanded northward out of downtown, this area had marshes, and the frogs would be chirping and out loud, and so it was known as Frogtown.
DOC 2322.
Retrain 21 mail to Ramsey County, carrying miles are 102401.
So if you heard that agent from the DOC, they got their person in custody, and she said they're transporting them down to our jail, and which...
Checking the main channel for 5701. 5701, are you on the main?
Is the place that they will take them if the arrest is made in Ramsey County, and then they will be have a hearing usually, and then be transferred back into state custody at one of the prisons. It's one of the backlogs that we get into with our jail. If you've followed the news at all about our jail, we're overpopulated with inmates, and they were kind of stuck in the cogs of the system. So they would receive a hearing, they'd be violated, and they should be going back to prison, but the prisons weren't taking them, or their court cases have been delayed because of the backup that started with COVID. And we also have a lot of people who've been deemed to be incompetent to stand trial, and therefore they should be transferred to a facility where they could get the mental health treatment that they need. But there's a lack of spaces in those facilities to hold them, so they end up sitting in our jail and not getting the same kind of treatment that they would be getting if they were in a specialized facility that has doctors that can work with them and try to get their medications right and whatnot, and restore their competency. So there are a number of factors that feed into that, and our need to have adequate staffing as well.
On the audible residential alarm covers the front door.
So we're westbound on University at Chatsworth. If you were watching when Sergeant Suki, better known as Styx, was chasing a vehicle the other day, this is close to where it ended up. He was coming this way and then went south and ended up on the south side of I-94, and Sergeant Suki chased him. He told me that he was running like a gazelle after the bad guy, bounding over fences and clotheslines and climbing on roofs like in the movies. And I don't really believe that, but he did get him in the end, so that's all that matters. So that, as you can see, the light rail train is driving by us down the middle of University Avenue. I've talked before about how that runs from downtown St. Paul to downtown Minneapolis, and you can actually get off by US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis and take another line that goes out to the airport and the Mall of America, They have their own police department that maintains law and order on the trains and the buses. They, I believe, are pretty stressed for personnel right now. I think they're a lot lower than what they're authorized to have. I'm going to stop here because this gentleman looks like he's maybe going to go out into the crosswalk. All right, I'm just going to go. He looks like he's struggling with his clothing there. So we're on University. We're going to go southbound on Hamlin. In the city of St. Paul, if someone is entering a crosswalk, traffic is required to yield for them.
Are there any Spanish-speaking officers in the east?
We'll be out with the canal in front of Jim and Johnson, Little Canada and Rice.
So the light rail trains just run constantly up and down University. Usually 2 or 3 times a year, there's some type of accident between cars and the light rail.
Which had $5,000 in cash in the wallet. C-Comp at 859 Payne Avenue, number 201.
And people don't always pay attention to where the train is and the signals, and they'll try to make a left turn and end up getting hit by the train or hitting the train, and you never win that one.
375 Tingle.
Tell myself clear, and you can cancel 385 Tango.
So we're southbound on Hamlin. Here we're in the West District of St. Paul. Actually, if you look to the right, you'll see the William K. Finney West District for St. Paul Police. Bill Finney was the chief of police in St. Paul for many years, and he now works as an undersheriff for us, running our community outreach and also our jail. Tremendous man. Has been a cop since forever. As the old timers would say when I was new, he's been a cop since Christ was a corporal. And I think he started law enforcement in '67, if I'm not mistaken, in the city of Mankato, which is about an hour south and west of the Twin Cities. So we're driving through the campus right now at Concordia St. Paul University, where my son just graduated from, played football here. Tremendous school. It's kind of a small urban school, the only Division II school in the Twin Cities area. On the right is the Gangelhoff Center, where their basketball and volleyball play. I believe their volleyball might have won a national championship there this year. And my son's girlfriend, Shauna, was on the women's basketball team, so we got to go watch a lot of their games. That was a lot of fun. head back over to the east side because it looks like they have some calls pending over there that maybe we can jump on and help out with.
4504.
504.
Myself on the admin. 4502. Clear advised with 375 Tango to the suburban. $5282 or code 4.
Yeah, no point.
So we're sitting here waiting to turn left onto Lexington Parkway from Marshall. We're right next door to Central High School. Sorry, I had a mental block there for a second. And across the street is Jimmy Lee Rec, which is one of our more busier youth centers where kids go after school to fill their time. This afternoon time, really from 3 to 7 or 8, is a time when a lot of kids don't have anything going on. Their parents may still be at work, and it can lead to a lot of shenanigans and criminal activity, and so it's good that the kids have a place to go. Getting on I-94 going eastbound. We do have some stolen cars that we're looking for this afternoon, and a car that was involved in a serious incident in the city of Roseville. I don't want to talk about it only because I don't know the details, and I don't know if they would want me to, but we will keep looking for those cars, and of course our normal stolens that we're aware of, the Kias and the Hyundais, and lately some Hondas. It's like the radio all of a sudden got quiet, but trust me, it won't stay that way. It never does.
0623.
0623.
Currently at Ramsey County Jail. Pending miles are 102406.
15 per month.
So you heard the Department of Corrections agent call out that they're at the jail. She gave ending miles. When she started, she gave a beginning miles. That way, there's no question that they went straight from where the arrest was made to the jail. And that way, if someone makes a false complaint later saying, oh, they took me for a ride, they did this, they did that, they can listen to the tape and hear the beginning and ending miles, and they know how long it took. It's just one more way that our deputies, especially the ones that don't have cameras in their cars, can protect themselves from false allegations. We're gonna go to a call at Target. It sounds like an unhappy customer, maybe cursing and yelling at the staff there, and we will go there and tell the St. Paul officers that are headed that way are code 4, and we'll see if they need assistance.
Start for 653 Rice Street. Now, putting a catalytic converter. Start on the pilot. Squad 187 Tango.
Yeah, 7 Tango.
Clear GOA with 170 and 180. Maybe Somerset DOC.
First, I was just back to 901 Snelling. It is room 20. I was going to be waiting at seat 67 Snelling. Kicks in the door. The hotel and Tyler jumped up the window and came to this address.
Good.
Hurry left with code 4.
Let's go for it.
Right way up ahead.
Probably.
Here, just do it.
That'd be fair.
247. But be far what business this is in front of.
So we're gonna get off here on Suburban and go to the Target, which will be on our right, and back up the St. Paul officers until they're good to go, or what we call code 4. Good things about driving an unmarked vehicle is we can show up and provide backup, and if not, escalating the situation.
Squad's going to Rice Street. Suspects now leaving the Greyhound westbound Pennsylvania. 247, I'm in the area. Heavy. Is going to be behind him at Pin and Como. Bravo Romeo 196. Have to be heavy. 618. I'll be on a block with him.
Looks like maybe they resolved it because I.
Transport.
My birthday.
From 2500 Colby. Beginning mileage is 43.
Copy 2500 home with the always be able to do pretty tough.
So oftentimes when officers handle a call, they can clear a couple different ways. They can get on the air and let the dispatcher know what happened and how they resolve the call, or they could get on their computer and enter the information on their computer so they're not tying up the air. Sometimes lengthy explanation or something needs to be documented, they will put it on that the remarks are in there.
Reference my call, I'll be heading over to the Abbott Hotel.
Copy. 50 per diem.
Looking at pending calls here to see if there's anything. Wasn't a bad firm, but we're northbound on White Bear from Old Hudson. I sometimes have a struggle over. It's nice when things are going smoothly and there's not a lot of crime going on and people are coming and going from work and school and not a lot of issues, but it gets a little. I hate to use that term, but for someone who likes to do police work, and I'm sure for you watching, you'll action, but we will be on it. But our ultimate goal is to make communities safe and to prevent people And so when there aren't a lot of calls and things aren't going badly, I think we should be happy about that. How depressing it is when you get up and it's dark outside, and you go home and it's dark outside, and I got called on by my my son and my wife both, who say they don't remember the last time I got out of bed before the sun was up. So I don't know if I need to review the tape, but I'm hoping I said I've done that and I don't like it. Not that I do that, because I work late. Oftentimes I roll out of bed late oftentimes. So there's nothing like having my own fact checkers watching. We're still northbound on White Bear, approaching 7th.
Previous traffic stop is unrelated, but could you have the comp step out of the vehicle and tell us what business she is in front of? There are several lots over here, and I'm not finding her anywhere.
It's amazing how with the new snowfall, we had a lot of melt the last week or so, but now with the new snowfall, we're back to having some pretty big snow piles where they've cleared snow out of parking lots and off driveways and sidewalks, but the alleys are looking rough. They tend to get really bad ruts in them, and then it refreezes, and it's pretty bad.
First 7 pounder.
New message.
5282, clear report.
Aging on these 50%.
With all of the activity we've had the last couple of weeks with the student who was stabbed and died at Harding High School, the subsequent triple shooting, and the next day the 5 individuals shot at a funeral repast, and a lot of threats and taunts back and forth. I can't say enough about the work our folks have been doing. The intel folks, the CAT team, our investigators, but also our partners at St. Paul PD, their gang unit, their gang and gun unit, and their Aspire to intervene and prevent ongoing patterns of violence. I could tell you if it wasn't for a lot of that work, we would
DLC 2312.
we'd have more murders and more
We're code
shootings.
4, one in custody, and transporting Ramsey.
Look for one in custody and transferring the Ramsey 50.
DOC's on fire today. They just got another fugitive in custody. So we're back westbound on Maryland. We're at Clarence.
You have a good night.
Have a good day,
I'm
1550.
continuing to watch the calls for service and running license plates as I see vehicles that are suspicious in one way or another. They have a broken window, their license plates bent. There are a number of factors that we use to identify vehicles that are maybe stolen or have been used in crimes, and we can run the plates and see if there's a hit on them. I remember back in the 90s, if their headlights, the bright lights were on, that was a sign that it was a stolen, because they would break the controls for the bright lights when they were peeling the columns on the old, actually the Chevys and the Chryslers. The bright lights would be stuck on. That was before they took those controls out of the steering column and dashboard.
We got another walk in regarding loss of property.
5281.
Message. New message.
So those are, when you hear that, it's because I'm getting returns back from queries that I've run. I just ran the Hyundai that was in front of us, and
Bravo,
it's totally
650
clear.
No message.
No issues with it. It runs the license plate, obviously, to see if it's a stolen, and then it will run the driving status and any warrants on the registered owner. So it's one of the ways that one of the ways that we apprehend people that are wanted. I'm gonna try to go over here for a second and answer questions. If you have any questions for me, put them in the comments. I'm gonna let it go for a second, then I'll pull over and look at some of them and answer them. Ever had questions about how we operate at the sheriff's office or the CAT team, because most of you are familiar with the CAT team and the work that they do. Ask away, especially if you have, good personal questions, like what brand of gel does Jelly Joe put in his hair? I don't know the answer, but it looks like super glue the way his hair is stuck. So whatever is the stickiest stuff, that's what he uses. And this time of year, he's always got the hockey flow going too. Somebody asked how many miles we drive. I've had this vehicle now for, I think I've had it for maybe 4 months, going on 4 months, and I have 10,600 miles on it. So this one's relatively new, and I probably put more miles on just because of the position I'm in and doing the live on patrol. Someone asked boxers or briefs. Yes, the answer is yes, boxers or briefs. Someone asked about the oldest and youngest suspects. The youngest suspect I've ever arrested was 10. And actually in Minnesota, when you're that young, you can't be arrested for a crime. It's more of a child protection issue. But he had got in a fight with his brother over a video game, and his brother was 12, was a little bigger, and he took a butcher knife and buried it in his brother's back all the way to the hilt. And fortunately, it didn't hit his lungs or his heart. And so we had to take him down. We took him to the juvenile detention center, and they said he's too young, we can't take him. We were a little perplexed as to what to do with him, but we were able to bring him to a St. Joe's, which was a home for children with different issues, and they were able to get him the treatment he needed. The oldest, I'm not really sure, probably in their 80s. When people start to have dementia, and they oftentimes will act out and
Clear GOA with 20.
assault people, and
alarm.
so I would say in the 80s, but I'm not exactly
75
sure.
West County, Walker Place.
Someone asked if I ever ride with anyone. Generally, I like to drive, so that's why I usually have someone ride with me. But I would be willing to hop in with someone. But I'm not a very good passenger because I would probably be yelling at them to slow down or whatever.
187 Tango.
Squad 187 Tango.
Whatever request for cancel.
Someone said average time to get a response from LPR. It really depends. Our LPRs are license plate readers, so we have those on a couple of squads, and so we drive around, and it's automatically running license plates around us all the time, and generally it's really quick, but there are times, especially if you're in an area where there's not the best internet signal, where there can be a slight delay, but it will tell you what the car was, so hopefully the deputies will say, oh yeah, I remember where we saw that car, and you can look back and it'll tell you where the location was that you ran it, but obviously if it's been a couple of minutes they could be gone. The DOC is the Department of Corrections, and they run our state prisons and our state, well, I hate to call it parole because in most states it would be called parole, but it's community corrections at the state level here. Buzzy Bones asking how old my kids are. Oh, good question. I have one that's 33, one that's 31. They're a boy that's 33, a boy that's 31, a boy that's 22, a boy that's 18, almost 19, a daughter that's 16. I had to make sure, I gotta think about when their birthdays are and make sure they haven't had another one. So my daughter's the baby, so she's got the 4 older brothers, and I'm guessing that boys might be a little intimidated by asking her out. All my boys are bigger than I am. They're I don't know what we fed them as kids, but they're all anywhere from 6'3" down to 6'1", and they're big kids, all offensive and defensive linemen. Defensive for my second oldest, and offensive linemen for the younger ones. I have one grandson, my oldest son, Danny, married a lady that had a child, Henry, and he is my only grandson right now, and being that none of the others are married, hopefully we stay that way for a little while. Which reminds me, I saw what I thought was funny today, but maybe other people don't. things from Facebook Marketplace pop up on my Facebook. And today, someone was selling birth control pills on Facebook Marketplace. I don't know if I would trust that. I mean, that's pushing it.
374 Tango. 370.
Yeah, I like to think I'm too young to be a grandpa too,
Calling
but
the admin line, need an address, panicking about her husband being mentally sick and not there.
looks like
husband was bipolar, entered the road.
we're getting a little frost here, or a little
transferred to medics.
drizzle that's making the windshield not that good. I'm up at our water patrol station where we have
374 Tango, copy.
not only all of our boats, we have an airboat, we have boats for the Mississippi, boats for the smaller lakes. We have snowmobiles, we have ATVs and UTVs that we use to patrol the parks and trails. So
370, clear.
what's the weirdest habit a team member has? Somebody asked. Well, that's a good one. I don't know. We used to have a guy who worked for us in apprehension, Paul Meskin, who always had a toothpick in. He's probably listening right now, and I'll bet he's got a toothpick in. Paul's a great cop. Don't tell him I said that, though. I don't want him to get a big head. I don't know that we have many other weird things with our team members. So Paul Meskin, who was the toothpick guy, was interviewed related to a murder case, a cold case murder that he worked before he retired. And the first thing everyone commented on the show was that he didn't have a toothpick in, so we didn't recognize him. Someone mentioned our Explorers. Our Explorers do work out of that water patrol building there, and they do a tremendous job. They're generally they're non-sworn, and Explorers are generally younger kids in their teens that are considering a career in law enforcement or that want to serve their communities. And we have a very active Explorer program. They compete against Explorers from other communities in competitions like crime scene processing and traffic stops and response to different types of calls. Someone asked if an officer is out of their car and they're chasing someone, maybe on foot, and their car gets stolen, do they get written up? No. They get a punishment way worse, which is they're going to get teased by their colleagues incessantly for the next, probably rest of their career. So you don't want to get your squad car stolen, and you don't want your anyone to run away with your handcuffs on them. I've had that happen. They didn't get too far, but that's embarrassing too.
646 First Street.
We're on Rice Street, going north here where it turns into Hodgson and the city of Shoreview. On the right is Vadnais Lake. That's the lake where the mom drowned her kids last year. Horrible situation. She drowned her 3 young kids and herself in the lake. Our water patrol deputies working with several different fire departments just did a tremendous enclosure by recovery of the common way. Dignify.
W633 307 or 308.
So they don't know where they are.
A better location, exactly what truck she's under right now. And for squad info, she has a couple felony warrants and a gross mess. 20-9. Arrival at the LSE, pending mileage 28, and I'll be clear.
I was trying to turn off the autofocus. Hopefully I finally got it to work here. So I realized I was having issues with it. They apparently grew up in San Diego when I was asked what part. I lived for a little baby, then we lived in University City, and then in Del Mar.
If you're available, get us a phone number so we can start looking up priors.
And then when I was in junior high, we moved to Salt Lake City for a couple of years, then here when I was in high school. And no, my dad was not a fugitive from justice, and neither was my mom. But my dad worked for Control Data, so he kept getting he kept getting promoted and reassigned, and so we ended up here because the headquarters was here.
$39.37.
3931.
So we're gonna go westbound here on Highway 96 in the city of Shoreview.
Right.
Great community up here. This is one of our contract cities that we patrol. Sounds like I'm gonna need to get new wipers here eventually.
think it was the young child, so.
Yeah, 9, that's a negative. He hung up. I tried to call back and I'm on the phone with someone else.
Carrie, do you have that number on your caller ID or no number?
So we're driving westbound here on Highway 96. I want to show you our patrol station out here in the city of Arden Hills.
1429.
On the right, we're driving by the Shoreview Community Center. Beautiful building, beautiful pool inside there, and meeting rooms. It's really a neat facility. And then up here on the corner is Shoreview Ice Arena. If you're a parent that's as a kid that plays hockey, you've probably
No phone history.
frozen your bones inside that ice arena a few times.
Do you have any previous calls from 646 First Street that were just trying to make a phone call to this specific location? Nothing in the last 3 months. I'm checking farther. Thanks, Jim.
Here we're westbound on 96 at Lexington. People think that even though people think that these areas up here in the northern suburbs aren't busy because the houses are a little more expensive and whatever, but we get the exact same type of activity up here. It's just the frequency of it is a little lower. And our deputies respond to medicals.
Copy 344 en route was 1 and no priors for this phone number for the last year. Rather this address for the last year. 1624. 343 to 399. Did you get the first name of the caller?
People are asking where I lived in Utah. I lived in Sandy, in the real close to the mouth of Little Cottonwood Canyon. We could walk to the end of the block and hop on a bus, a public bus, and it would take us to Snowbird and Alta Ski Resort. It was
Emmerich not
a
finding
good
any
time to
priors
be
as
a
well.
kid.
Here's a fraud report and then the lost property report.
So I'm going to take you in here to see our patrol station. You've probably been up here before, but at night. And I want to show you what it looks like during the day. Our
247. 247.
we obviously, most of us,
Change to
the
suspicious.
CAT team and Bob and Pat and I work out of downtown, but this is where our patrol deputies work out of, and our central investigations unit. We have a garage there and the sheriff's office here, and back here is where they work on our cars. And when the cars come in, they upfit the cars and get them all ready to go out on patrol, depending on what kind of cars they are. They may send them to additional places to get other features.
3937,
This is where we take them to get service, and you can see someone's Tahoe. If you want to know what I'm in right now, it looks very similar
64 color in place within 16
to
meters.
that
911 hang up
Tahoe
from a
right in
911
front of
only
us.
phone, possibly a child.
374 Tango. 374 Tango.
And for those of you who are not
I have an
from
owner listed as
Minnesota,
a town-owned company out of St. Paul. Do you want us to see if we can get something
these are piles of salt and
Yes,
for the roads, salt and sand. There's one on my right, just the same size as the one right ahead of me. And inside all these stalls are plows and trucks that are used for snow plowing. We have a canine facility out here.
3714. What was that info earlier regarding Mississippi?
Well, the basement are homeless. They're going to be urinating.
And gas
They call back
pumps.
that number and the person doesn't
Gas pumps that we use.
have a relationship with this or know anyone in St. Paul.
It's like our own little gas station and a place where citizens can recycle oil and
And I gave a call
other
back, and it says that
hazardous
this person's
waste.
phone number is through Wi-Fi only. It's a Google phone.
And behind us is the Army National Guard Training Center.
Thank you.
399. His phone number can be accessed through a third party.
Someone asked, is that where we train deputies? We do some training up here, but most of that is done downtown, but they will train them in some other things out in this, here or at our water patrol building. The cool thing is if you come up here at night, you'll see deer wandering around in here. There have been bear that have come down here as they're looking for mates. Mostly yearling bears will come down from the North Woods and make their way down into this area, and we'll get calls from people that are panicked that there's a bear in the neighborhood. But for the most part, they just want your trash to eat, and they want you to leave them alone.
91.7.
The DNR says that they're more scared of you than you are of them, but I'm not sure I believe that.
So 375. Again, the family who lives at 644 said that there are 5 children who live at 646. The oldest is a 16-year-old with mom and dad.
So we're back westbound on Highway 96 now, giving you kind of the big circle tour of Ramsey County.
Happy 16-year-old and 4 younger siblings.
Waiting to see if something will kick off.
308. We have a resident at 648 Burr who's currently with Medic 4 requesting an escort in so she can make contact with her kids. That address and can leave. Back here. We make contact with her when we're doing okay for now. Several things. Copy that.
We're approaching 35W up here in the Twin Cities. The I-35 splits into 35W or west and 35E or east, and then they rejoin north of the Twin Cities and go all the way up to Duluth. On the south end, they go south down to Texas.
First 71.
We'll take the first sensor.
4441.
343, can someone bring a shield to the south end here to us?
307.
So as we cross over the highway, we're going to end up in the city of New Brighton, one of our suburbs in the far northwest part of the county. There are New Brighton and Mounds View.
Captain 73 attempting to make contact in the map.
Both have their own police departments. Chief Nate Harder in Mounds View and Director Tony Patznick in New Brighton. He's public safety director, so he has police and fire.
What are you guys doing? Keep the report and put me out on a 32 district and 25 Undersheriff Street. Received 32.
So now we're going south on Old Highway 8.
We're making contact with someone inside the west residence of 646. Came in the back door.
My right-hand side is the entrance to Long Lake Park. If you've never been there, I highly recommend going there. It's a great place to walk or bike or rollerblade or ride. I already said bike. It's got some great picnic areas. It's got a beach. In the summer, it's a busy beach. And the county, it's a county park, but it's patrolled by us, but New Brighton PD also patrols it and responds there. Now we're crossing over Highway 694 into what I'm not sure officially if it's called this, but like old downtown New Brighton. So this is the older original area, New Brighton. Community center's on our left, which I know you can't see, but it looks like a community center.
The comp is going to be security at Goodwill.
I saw there's a comment following versus chasing. I'm assuming you mean what's the difference between us pursuing a vehicle, like a stolen vehicle, and following it. So if the helicopter's up, State Patrol helicopter, or we have a drone up, sometimes we can just sit back. We don't have to actively pursue it, and we can wait for it to stop, and that's what we would prefer. On the left is New Brighton, their public safety facility. The city hall was behind us, and fire and police. Cutting over now to Old Highway. Well, we're still on Old Highway 8, but it kind of jogs over here. So today, I comment with me today. They all bailed on me because of different assignments and training that they had, but we will be back next Monday. I'll have somebody with me. I don't know who it'll be yet. So we're southbound on Old Highway 8 in the city of New Brighton.
Contact one in front of apartment 314.
This road's also got a little bit of pothole problem. Right up here is one of my favorite places, which is Brighton Custom Auto, owned by my friend Abdallah Khadid. Does great work on people's cars. He's an awesome guy too. Fun to talk to, and he loves the fast, fancy cars.
307 or 308, do you want me to hold medics or release them?
So he had a Hellcat, but sold that one. But I think he's maybe looking for another one. But
not for this location, no. Copy, release.
Come down here and turn around. But Gifford Fitness is back here too. Great place to get some cross training.
Copy 376. What 375 Tango? Can we get the case number for our gentleman here? 375 Tango, the number for Burr 037163. 037163. Thank you.
So those cars are there in the queue to get fixed. So I know they're not stolen. Generally, people don't take their stolen cars to get a stolen car to get fixed unless they're the owner.
31931, is that your clear?
And as we come down, on the right-hand side here is the city of St. Anthony. A lot of people don't know, but Ramsey County has a little piece of the city of St. Anthony, so we work with them. They're part of our SWAT negotiators and on the SWAT team as well. Another great community, but one you wouldn't think of if you were thinking of Ramsey County.
272 Maryland and Whitey. Since 670, you want to come over here to Maryland and Whitey?
So you're hearing a lot of radio traffic related to a domestic situation on the east side of St. Paul.
You guys have a buzz man, please. 72267.
And sounds like
Copy,
the
Maryland Whitey.
troops over there are doing a great job of getting that resolved.
I'll be down there in a second. Copy.
People asked about do they fix the roads when it warms up? Yes, they generally do. They'll patch the potholes, and sometimes they resurface the roads depending on how bad they are and the schedule they have for resurfacing the roads. But if we get a really bad year where it's freezing and thawing a lot, that's really tough on the roads. So we're on County Road D, which is equal to about 37th Avenue North.
Officer Hanson, check your squad lights.
We're going to go eastbound, and we're headed over towards the city of Roseville. We're still in New Brighton. On the left, St. Anthony on the right.
Driver's gonna be a Mexican male, shaped face, 5'6", 5'7", with 37-4 Tango investigate ready.
So we're eastbound on County Road D, in the city of Roseville. Giving you the full service tour.
We're still working through it. Medics are staging.
I want to show you kind of a fun thing that we did over the weekend,
037
or the end of last week.
Spots for 1700 EOT 1312.
Every year, one of the big fundraisers for Special Olympics in Minnesota is what's called the Polar Plunge, where people jump in a frozen lake. They cut a hole in the lake and they jump in there, and they get people to pledge money, and they raise money for Special Olympics. And just a tremendous event. Law enforcement's the leaders in helping coordinate with Special Olympics in Minnesota to raise money and give an opportunity to these athletes that, you know, are differently abled and have developmental disabilities, and give them the opportunity to really have fun and compete. But I say that to say this. So anybody who knows my wife knows that she likes to work out. She works out a lot. And this weekend, or I'm sorry, end of last week, one of the ladies she's worked out with said, hey, my son and his girlfriend are going to submerge themselves in this frozen lake, and they said it's invigorating, it's really good for your circulation. And she asked me if I wanted to come with, and I said, yeah, I'll come with, and I'll videotape it, but I'm not getting in the lake. And she did. I'm very proud of her. And she got in the frozen lake, and I'm going to see if I could show you where it was here. I don't know if the hole's still open, but I guess we'll find out. But this is Lake Johanna, and right there where you can see the orange fencing, I'm going to see if I can zoom in on it a little bit. In the middle of that orange fencing is a hole in the lake, and they went in the lake and sat in there. My wife, I think, was in there for about a minute and a half before she froze out. But the other lady and the other lady's son and his girlfriend were able to make it 5 minutes in the frozen water there. And I actually drove out on the lake that day. I'm not going to do it today because it's too warm and it looks like there's water standing on top, and I'd prefer not to explain to the sheriff why my new Tahoe is at the bottom of the lake. So I did it with my wife's car, by the way, at the end of last week. I may get talked into it at some point, but I wasn't ready for it that night. Now that I've seen it, it looks like it would be kind of invigorating. So another one of our beautiful parks here and the lakes. We patrol the lakes, our water patrol. If there are emergencies, we would respond to those. And they sure get a lot of activity in the summer. Fishing, boating, tubing, swimming, people running on the paths. It's very busy.
187 taken.
Oh.
Thanks
Thanks for reminding me to zoom back out. I guess I was zoomed in a little too much there. So now we're back out to New Brighton Road.
That animal complaint will be Ramsey County.
St. Paul College.
Did you say you have to pull over?
Yep.
So someone's looks like opining to who our command staff. The sheriff is Bob Fletcher. He's the elected sheriff of Ramsey County. He was just reelected and started his second term this January. Actually, he had been the sheriff for 12 years and then was lost an election and then came back. So this is his second term back. He has a chief deputy, Dave Matusalem, who assists in running the day-to-day operations of the sheriff's office. And then there are 4 undersheriffs who oversee specific areas. Kyle Mestad is the undersheriff of administration. Bill Finney's the undersheriff of community outreach and the jail. I'm the undersheriff of regional services. Jeff Ramaker is the undersheriff of McNamara is the undersheriff of courts. I guess there's 5 undersheriffs. I forgot that we had added a position. And then we have commanders that oversee specific units within the sheriff's office.
Copy. 359 Tango 325. 359 Tango EOT. Squad 331.
Ahead of us is Lake Valentine.
335.
It sits on or adjacent to the campus of Bethel University.
Squad 335.
So Bethel University is over here on my left, and
343.
further south is Northwestern University. A couple of great schools.
Squad 343 for EOT. 43. 347. Seven. Squad 370. Negative. Copy. Negative 836.
For any net right here, great steakhouse, classic prime steakhouse. I'm gonna pull in so you can see it. Great place for steak sandwich for lunch. Looking at a text I got, so I gotta make sure
We're fine. Still working.
staying on top of some stuff.
183, I can pick up the
Oxford and LaFawn for male screaming, running around the street and crawling. So a 50-year-old white male with a red shirt, black pants. At 1654. Right, 1654.
So we're still on our.
I know I'm fixing it, sorry. Is there a squad distance 183 at Oxford and LaFawn?
Set to have comments, so we can go west.
Copy.
So now we're headed on County Road E towards Lexington. We're in the city of Arden Hills.
180.
180, go ahead.
Can you start a medic rig for behavioral?
Affirmative, you're on the standby.
Oh, they can pull up.
So if you heard that, the officers are out on the scene. Started out as a disorderly conduct, and now they're asking for a medic rig for a behavioral evaluation, which is basically to determine whether or not the person should go to the hospital and be checked out. Generally, it's someone who's suffering a mental health crisis of some sort.
I'm out with the mail. Can you add Minnesota plates? Mike, Echo Lima 965. And I'll be in front of 1050 LaFawn.
Copy.
So it's, I hate to say this, but it's super quiet out right now. I mean, there's just a few things going on. You know, it's quiet when the little punk starts sending smart comments
3914.
to you. So,
3914.
Show me out on PT, please.
Copy.
it's funny to see how
9271, 9173.
people react to that. You know,
1700 4th Street. And
we're out here working, trying to keep communities safe. A lot of these guys will talk smack to us and then turn around and call us when somebody threatens them or something happens to their little brother or little sister. And it's something we're used to. We've been cops for, this is my 33rd year, maybe 33rd year. Bob's been a cop longer, and it's just it's just sad to see, rather than doing something productive and being out there making their communities better, they like to take shots at us, and quite frankly, most of the time we don't even see them. You know, we know the truth. We know a lot more about most of these kids than people believe. We know their parents. We know their siblings. We know their histories, and sadly, they a lot of them just are dealing with unresolved issues, and we have to be patient and hopefully do what we can to get them on the right track.
There's a just called Justice 369 for DOC 111 Empire Drive. I'll take a go ahead.
Adult male.
There's
and Lex.
the reason we're stuck here at this intersection, I think the train's going by just south of here, so it's backing up the traffic, or they're moving trains back and forth. Thank God for the people that do that work on the trains, moving goods and back and forth so that our economy can keep moving and be healthy, and takes a little bit of pressure off the roads. And the barge traffic as well on the Mississippi River. So they're working on the tracks here. Railroad safety is a big issue in our communities, especially here, because we get a lot of the oil that gets shipped down from the Dakotas that comes down on the railroads through the Twin Cities area. So there's a train coming by an engine, and I believe this is one of the engines that they use to pull testing equipment through and keep the tracks in line and safe. You can see underneath, you might be able to see the sparks there where they're on the tracks, and I think keeping them
34370.
clean and safe.
70.
Someone said stop by Cane's and get a green lemonade. I didn't know they had green lemonade, but trust me, I've been to the Cane's that's right up here with my kids many times. And the last time I actually picked up Cane's,
700 East 7th Street.
a whole bunch of it to bring to my daughter's basketball game, and my car smelled for probably a week.
362 Tango 366.
Tango.
366. Four warrants on your laptop for threats of violence at a scene on this county. 366 Kevin.
So we're northbound on Lexington, in Arden Hills, right by the Target, if you know where that is. And there's a Chick-fil-A and Cane's up here. I can't believe how incredibly quiet it is right now, but it's good that there's not a lot of criminal activity going on. But I have a feeling with the warmer temperatures it may pick up later tonight.
Right, 363. 6 up.
So we're just getting on eastbound 694 from Lexington.
Right, 363 copy. 367 copy.
Looks like the tow truck there is just making a little adjustment on the back. I guess when you have a car up there like that, you want to make sure it's good and secure.
Yes, Minnesota. Juliet, Gulf, Alaska, 264. Check off on the station. Go to 187 Tango. We're transporting one of those city regions. He's a captain's going to be in the rig. Sean has to be followed.
So out here on Rice and head back down toward towards our water patrol station and see if a meeting's still going on that I should stop into. I'm gonna have to cut this off here pretty soon, and I don't feel as bad because it hasn't been so busy today, but trust me, when the cat guys are back out on a Wednesday afternoon, I guarantee you they will find action, and Friday night we'll be back out live as well. And I really appreciate everybody who's been watching, even the haters. Thanks for letting me live in your head for a little while. And we hope you too will find happiness someday. And can find some satisfaction in what you're doing and some happiness, and not derive your happiness from being unkind to other people. So thank you for sticking with me this afternoon, even though it was slow. I wish I could always promise you something exciting, but I can't. And we'll just be happy because of the fact that there wasn't a lot of crazy stuff going on today. So thanks. Do me a favor, be kind to people, hug your family, tell them that you love them. Yeah, I guess dogs and cats too. And we will see you next Monday, but I'll probably see you before, either on Wednesday or for sure Friday.